Hi, it's Dominique Leveille here, Dr. Dominique, with Michael. Can we do it over?
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys. Yes, with the Community News. He is my guest today. Usually I'm his guest, but today we're doing it a little bit different where I am the guest. I am the host and he's my guest. And I wanted to talk about mental health, right? And debunking what it is that sometimes we think is what mental health is. In actuality, that's not it, right? Because a lot of us have our own preconceived notions to it. So I'm going to ask Michael here some questions about those preconceived notions and kind of help him to debunk some of them that are not so true.
Okay.
Right, Michael?
Yes, thanks so much for inviting me.
Of course.
And the roles today are switched, and I think that it's very symbolic in life. Sometimes our roles do switch.
Yes, they do switch. And sometimes they switch last minute, right? And we're not expecting it, but it's great to still have the opportunity. So, Michael, when it comes to mental health, what do you think of it? What does it represent for you?
Well, being somebody that was in therapy for many, many years, I had a chance to explore that, which was an opportunity to speak with somebody that was non-judgmental, that you could share whatever you wanted to share on whatever level you wanted to do. And it really opened my heart as far as what I was about and how I fit in. But I also recognized back then is that it was a little more and still in the closet type of thing. Shh, don't say anything. Right. And I realized that you could have a broken hand, right? And get more people to pay attention to that than when you have a broken heart.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it is understanding for people to understand our physical challenges that we have, but it's so difficult for them to understand our mental challenges because we're taught to push through, right? It's a bad Monday. Don't worry, Tuesday's going to be great. We don't really talk about why Monday didn't go so well, right? So what is the difference for you speaking to a therapist and like your best friend? What is something a therapist does that the best friend can't?
One, that you won't run into your therapist out on the street, right?
True.
And they won't be sitting there reminding you about one day when you were just like fed up with everything and vomiting up all this stuff all over them. Yeah. And so I know that we sort of pick and choose and what we're going to share and the quantity. Right. And I think the therapist is that person that's there, and you can go to them or not go to them. And most therapists are extremely private and confidential. One time I was in an elevator, my therapist is standing next to me. Yep. Wouldn't even look.
Yes.
Wouldn't even look. Yeah. Right? It was like, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the part of the job that I like as well, because when my client comes to me and comes into the session, they come in one way. When I see them out with their family, that's a whole nother person. That's not the person that was just venting on my couch. So I wouldn't approach you because then what are we going to talk about? The last venting session in the middle of Publix? So for me, it's the same way. And a lot of times when my clients do come in the office, they'll be like, I saw you. And I'm like, oh, okay. You saw me. Okay, good. I didn't really see you. Or sometimes I'll be like, I did see you, but I respected your privacy, because I feel like therapy is so sacred. It's a special place that you get to enter and kind of like unmask yourself, like unzip yourself and show the most vulnerable sides of you and not worrying about me showing up or telling someone this information. Because something that friends do that therapists don't do, they don't remind you of the venting session that you have, right? Your best friend will be like, you don't remember when they did that last week? And they think they're helping you, but they're actually providing more trauma to you about the situation. Because now you're like, oh, I can't go to you to talk to you anymore because you remember and I need you to forget. Yes. Right. So that's something I've noticed. Do you have a question for me?
I do.
Okay.
Let's talk about the trauma that people experience during weather events.
Okay. Yes.
And we just had the anniversary of Hurricane Andrew. I think it was 33 years. There are a lot of people that suffered a huge trauma. And even when I think about Hurricane Andrew, I get goosebumps.
Same.
So what are some of the triggers that somebody would cause somebody to bring up past events that would traumatize them and make them anxious and perhaps depressed today?
It's usually when we feel those emotions again, and when they first happen, we didn't really understand them. We just learned to put them away, bury them deep. So what happened to a lot of people with Hurricane Andrew is it was such a devastating hurricane. Everyone kind of picked up and moved or tried to continue life, but hurricanes kept on coming. And as they kept on coming, a lot of people kept having the same reactions to Hurricane Andrew. Like they'll go to the store and get all the toilet paper, or they'll go to the store and get everything. And it's a big mass because to them, they went without for a certain period of time. And the idea of going without again brings up all that emotion. So it's almost like they get flooded with it. So the best thing to do is, there's EMDR, which is a form of therapy that I do to help people with desensitizing those type of events, those natural disasters that happen to us, that we lose the ability to control. We lose the ability to know what's going to happen next, to help us to desensitize that.
When that hurricane came through August 20, whatever it was, all right? And it went through town, went over to Naples area. I said, okay, that's our hurricane for the year. And all of a sudden, there are other ones floating around. And there it is, just waiting. And all of a sudden, you go from, no, this isn't just one event, all right? It's this, as you're saying, it's this continual event that gets reoccurring all the time. And we know that when these storms start coming, the feelings start coming back up. They
slowly start to flood, right? You'll see someone say, oh, I'm going to go fill my tank of gas. Make sure you have gas every night before going to bed. And it's like, okay, take a deep breath. Okay, we're going to be okay. We need just one tank of gas to give us our 300 miles to get to the next one. So it's almost like teaching yourself the logic and reminding yourself that, yes, Hurricane Andrew was a disaster that happens to us. And God knows, is the only one knows if that's going to happen again.
So there were two particular events. The walls and the roof of part of our house was torn down. And so my wife and I go up to second story. So we go up, the clothes there, the bed's there. I said, oh my goodness, I got two things. My wedding anniversary, 10th anniversary, which was in October, I had it. I go, is it there? Where is it? And then there was a medal that I received from running the New York Marathon. And I am crawling over the clothes and everything. And as I'm looking for those two things, I said, the medal doesn't matter because I got it in here.
That's right.
I said, but I better find this ring. And I did. And there it is now. It's a sunshiny day. Then the whole neighborhood is wrecked. And and my wife was in there. I gave her that ring at that moment. So I have both those three events, the trauma of it, the understanding that when you internalize it, you don't need that external stuff, except for the ring. Because I wanted to show my wife.
It's the symbol.
Yes. So we have the conversation we were having earlier was about how is AI going to affect psychotherapy?
Yes.
And you responded. So let's hear about that conversation.
Yes. So our conversation was, will AI have an impact on psychotherapy? And I said no, because there's nothing like the human touch, right? So when it comes to AI, it's a machine that we're going to talk to and it's going to feed out information. But if the machine doesn't hear you clearly or understand your language, or if you make emphasis on certain words that the machine can't understand, the tone, it won't be able to understand those things, where I, as a human, I am able to understand the difference between someone that is sad and someone that's clinically depressed. Because those things may look the same for a machine, but it's completely different physically for the person.
Years ago, I go to the doctor. I wasn't feeling good. I sit down, and he puts his hand on my shoulder. What's going on, Michael? I say, you know what? I'm already feeling better. I just needed to take a pause, all right? Just a moment.
Of course.
And with his hand on my shoulder, he says, so what's going on? I go, I don't know. I'm feeling a little nervous. He says, tell me what you do in the morning. Bunch of coffee. He says, do me a favor. Just slow down to the coffee. Since you're here, let's do the test anyway. Okay. And so that was 30 years ago, maybe 40. And I remember it like it was yesterday, as far as that human touch, that understanding that you can talk to somebody. And if they're perceptive enough, can help lead to, one feeling better.
Absolutely. Like when I'm having my conversations with my clients and we're in office, or sometimes even when we're virtual, sometimes I can notice that the person that's in office has more of a connection during the session than the one that's virtual, because our life functions on a virtual surface. So we get messages, we get notifications, we get different things. So when we're in a therapy session, as much as we try to reduce the notifications, we're so connected with technology, it's going to come through. One of them are going to come through. And just that one notification can change the rhythm of the therapy session and the tone of the client.
I'm glad you brought that, because frequently people say, can we do a Zoom? I say we can. But it ain't gonna be the same.
It's not.
It is just totally different.
It is.
And it's like, okay. I tried to dissuade them almost all the time. I was taking class in AI. Unfortunately, it was Wednesday night at 7 to 9. Right?
Yep, exactly.
And there are 50 people in the class. After a little while, people were taking out their pictures and putting up a blank thing.
Yep.
And that's what happened. You start fading away. And as I was trying to do the assignment, I couldn't figure out how to be in this group. So I'm doing it over here on the other screen, only slightly hearing what was going on.
Right. So
I couldn't
not engage.
I couldn't type fast enough, so it would be online, and I went, oh my goodness. Yep. If it would have been in a classroom, it would have been different.
Absolutely, because the professor would have broke you guys up into groups, and then you would have had a chance to talk to that person. Oh, what do you do? How are you going to use AI? Who made you come to the training? Yes. You know, type of thing. Like, there's a little bit of small talk that helps us to connect with people and to help us feel each other's energy, even the non-spoken, right? So I've been in training where they're for weeks or months, and if they're in person, I can tell if that person's having a good day or bad day. If it's virtual, I don't even know their names. Yeah. If they don't put their name on the screen, I don't even know you. So it's like, what's the interaction?
Let's talk about Michael Phelps. It seems it was 10 or 15 years ago. He went on TV doing commercials, and he said, when I need help, this is where I go to get that. And I used to be a registered nurse, and I spent a couple months working at Jackson Hospital Psychiatric Unit a long, long time ago. And when I listened to Phelps, he said he was opening up, and how good that was to be able to do that. And at that point, I said to my shrink, I said, sometimes the only difference between me and the patients are the keys. He says, Michael, sometimes it's just that much. That little thing that makes a difference.
Absolutely. Because I'm human. So sometimes my clients will come to me and they're discussing a problem that they're having, or with their child or with their parent. I'm so removed. I have a child, I have a parent, but in that moment, it's my professional hat that I'm using. So there's always but I'm doctor. But as humans, we're very connected in our stories and what we go through in life, you know?
When Michael Phelps did that, it was like, I watched that, I'm going, wow, that took a lot of guts to do it.
It did. Right.
And that was like before
mental health.
Right. So now there are mental health days, and people go, okay, I get it. All right. Yeah. But it took a long, long time. It did. And I think there still is some stigma with that. And with Simone Biles, when it's like, she says, I got to take some time off to get my head straight.
Right.
It's when we can accept that we're human beings, that we won't feel that shame that's there.
The key to therapy is identifying the problem, identifying what it is that you're having the challenge with. Once you're able to identify it, it's easy to find coping tools, right? So my clients will come to me and say, oh, I felt frustrated. I'm like, okay, let's go deeper. What was the morning like? How did you sleep? Did you have any interactions with your kids? Where did this frustration bubble up from? Because a lot of times we're so disconnected from ourselves that before we feel what it is that we're actually feeling, it's maybe like days later or hours later from the incident that happened. Because in that moment, we're just trying to fix it. We're just trying to move on to the next, but we're not stopping to be like, wait a second, this is flooding me. I feel flooded. I need a moment. Because our society, we're not allowed to say that. We're not. What do you mean you feel flooded? You still got 8 hours of work to go. Your child is waiting for you to do homework.
So there's lots of folks that can't figure out how to compartmentalize that stuff.
Yes.
I know in brainwashing, they open those gates so that you get flooded, so you can't handle that. So what's a tool that somebody could do to like compartmentalize for a while, take this stuff and move it away, and when I get around to it this afternoon, I'll deal with that.
Absolutely. So I always like to journal, writing it down. Giving yourself a moment to say it out loud. If you're driving somewhere, instead of listening to a podcast, maybe put some relaxing music and ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Because I know traffic is going to be aggravating to get to the next. So by adding a podcast and not allowing ourselves to truly disconnect, because podcast is feeding our brain more information and we're already overloaded with information, it just allows us to stay in the frustration. So disconnecting, I would say, is the best. And then I also came out with this little tool that kind of helps us to organize our day,
Why don't you show it to the camera?
Because we go through, as professionals, we're so busy. We have so many tasks and so many things that we want to do. So I came up with the 1, 2, 3 method just to help people to understand that we can have one goal for the day, 2 tasks for the day. And then I love these statements: I am, I did, and I will. Because by creating it as an I, it allows you to feel like, yes, I can do it. But when you say you doesn't resonate the same as I do. So this little tool helps us to kind of stay organized throughout the day through the chaos of everything else that we're trying to stay organized. And I feel organization helps to keep our anxiety down and helps to keep our frustration down because we feel more in control.
One of the things AI has done for me, because I'm a very disorganized ADD guy, I go and it's Michael's to-do list. Whoosh.
There you go.
And then sometimes it'll perceive what's important. Would you like me to put the things that are important?
Yes.
I went, how does it know that? Because it's figured it out.
It figured it out, yeah.
And, okay. And they even put it in red. This is what you want me to put it high list. I said, yes. And so there is a permanent record of that stuff.
Yes.
And I'll look at it and I'll check off the stuff. Right. And every month it asks me, do you want me to remind you Monday morning at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, of your list.
Yes. I went, wow. And all I have to do is type that in.
Yes.
And to your point, it allows us to feel good about the things that we have done.
Nothing feels better when you're checking things off the list. When you're like, I've accomplished this. I did this. I'm finished with this. This is done. Those are things that actually makes our brain and our body feel overjoyed. It allows us to have a bit of endorphins, almost like a happiness that takes over because we feel like we've accomplished something.
Let's talk about folks when they get anxious. Anxiety is a pretty common event. I hear people now talking about it. Before they would say they were getting nervous, but really they're having an anxiety attack or getting very anxious. What are some of the causes for that? And what can people do when they go, listen, I'm very anxious?
One thing that people need to do is start centering themselves. We're moving so fast that we're not allowing ourselves to pick up on the external crises that are happening around us that builds our anxiety because we're just moving along. We're plowing through the day. So when you feel that you're having so many more anxious moments, I would say, have you checked in with you? Have you asked yourself, how are you doing today? What happened? Have you took a day off for your mental health? It doesn't have to be a whole day. It could be maybe 2 hours or 3 hours that maybe you do something different. You go to the beach, you read a book, you sit by yourself for a minute, because we don't do that. Those little life, I call them gems that we have, we don't really tap into them unless we're on vacation. That's the only time. I'll ask the client, when's the last time you read? Oh, we were on vacation last week and I read a book. It's like, the book still exists now, right? We can give ourselves 30 minutes to read. We can do that. I know it sounds insane, but by not doing it, that's how anxiety takes over. That's how worry manifests from just being a worry to now being an anxious moment to then becoming an anxiety attack. Because what's happening is as things progress, these external things stick to us, our anxiety is rising. The higher it gets, the less in control we are of it, then it starts to control us. A panic attack is when your body is in control and your mind can no longer tell it it's okay. Because it's gone so long without you telling your mind, self-soothing, that it doesn't know what to do.
So people that have vertigo or they get vertigo, there's some things that the doctors say to do.
Yep.
And since I'm not a doc, I won't talk about it because I'm not sure. But what I do when I have that occasionally is I focus on a thing that's up on the wall, right? So the mind is focused on there. And if you close your eyes, it doesn't quite know what to do. The orientation is off. What are some exercises that people can do when they get anxious?
They can do it's 4 seconds, it's box breathing, where you hold your breath for 4 seconds in, you exhale for 4 seconds, and you breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. Yeah. By doing those deep breathing, it allows us to release the tension that's in our body from the anxiety and allows the body to slowly decrease from the physical feeling of the anxiety so that the mind can slowly take over again to remind us we're okay.
And these are proven methods.
Yes, proven methods.
100%. They're 100%. Proven.
Yeah, right? They work.
Yes. And so So when they start to get, not as anxious, they still have their shoulders are still sort of frozen in there.
Yeah.
What can they do when they go, I'm on the verge, I'm getting better, but I'm feeling tense.
I'm feeling tense. So you definitely want to do some exercises. I think yoga is a great thing to connect with your daily routine if you're someone that feels anxious, or that if you feel that your body's very tense. I know for myself, my self-care is Pilates. I love it. It allows me to release my day, I feel. So you have to find something that allows you to physically get the tension from the body, because it's that tension that's making the mind feel that something's wrong.
So in your experience, when people are anxious, can they pinpoint some root cause that may have manifested into this?
It depends. Usually they could do that with a professional. They can, because the professional is going to ask physical things. They're going to ask, like, when did it start? When did you last feel it? We're going to ask specific questions.
So like peeling the onions away, and all of a sudden you're going to go,
boom. And then we get to the what it is. A lot of time, because we're so focused on, I need to feel better, we stay at the surface. We'll be like, oh, it's the last communication that I had with my boss. That's why I'm feeling this way. And it's like, I think it's more like 4 days old. And it's been simmering, boiling, and now your boss's conversation kind of
sort of triggers.
Exactly.
So we're having an event here later today, and so I'm a little nervous about it.
Okay.
But I recognize that.
Yes.
And I'm going, okay, you may say some short things, some sharp things to some people. I've already apologized a little bit. I'm going, okay, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay.
Exactly.
When I was at college, Miami-Dade, so many years ago, I was failing English. And the professor says to me, what's going on? I said, I don't know. She said, I got a special class. Okay. So I go, and the special class was 2 desks, about this size. She said, sit down. What happens when you start to write? I said, I start to write, I get frustrated, I pull the paper out of the typewriter. I know you don't remember that, but I do. And she says, Michael, why don't you do this? The next time that happens, why don't you stop and pause for a moment or two, and then just start over. And for 50 years, I've been doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need sometimes. Just be in charge of yourself.
Right.
I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. Take a deep breath. All right.
Right. And start it again. Just like tonight, I want you to do the breathing, right? So you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. You're going to hold it, and then you're going to breathe out, right? You're going to train yourself to release the anxiety and remind yourself, you're you. You got this.
Yes.
It's different, but it's not the first.
And there are classes, people, they can go to yoga class, and lots of beginners classes, right? Pilates, my wife has been doing Pilates for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And so I see the difference in her, and being able to concentrate, going with the group of people there, and focusing on on taking care of oneself.
Yes.
And she's all quiet when she comes back.
Yeah.
Right? She's good for the evening.
She's good. Yeah, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your self-talk.
Yeah. So for me, I am a mom. I'm a mom of 2 boys. I've been married for almost 20 years this December. I'm a daughter. I have 2 older brothers. One passed away. My family, we are Haitian American, so we're very culturally focused in our ways of viewing the world, but understand that there's differences that exist within it. For me, I feel that therapy was a calling for me because I love to help and I love to hear people. I love being that person that can slow you down and give you a moment to just breathe and talk, because I feel like we're all functioning at 110. But in my therapy office, we function at 50. Let's slow down. Let's get a drink of water. Let's get some candy. Let's remind ourselves about the joy of life and not what we're doing to survive life. So that's what I love the most.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And because in today's life, in 2025, there's a lot of stuff that's going on.
Yes.
Right. And then, of course, in 2000, there was other stuff that was going on. So we suffering, lots of people are still suffering from COVID, as far as that isolation that took place.
Yes.
And so here we are, essentially 3 or 4 years later. I bring it up like it was yesterday.
Yeah. And it feels like yesterday for some people, right? So when I talk to students, when I talk to kids, like the kids that I work with at Nova that are in like 20s, they're in they have a chunk of their life that was virtual for them. Some of them didn't walk across stage to get their high school diploma to think of that, to not be able to do that. Some of them literally went from being a senior to now being a college student and not having that transitional period and feeling like, well, I don't know what to go to school for. I don't know what I want to do, because it's almost like the completion of one didn't happen. The isolation made us it almost like it stopped time for us physically, but time continued externally. And we're trying to catch up to it, right? We're trying to remind ourselves of how do we sync with both.
And the graduation is that we've recognized what you've done.
Yes.
Now you're finished with that, and you're going to be starting something new.
Right. A new chapter, right? Even for our birthday. Well, there's a reason why we celebrate, and there's a cake and there's candles. It's to show like something is happening. Something is different in your life. We're celebrating you because you did a year and you have a year that's coming. So because that's so trained, and it's almost like indoctrinated in us, like it's part of us. We celebrate our completions. We celebrate when we finish something. When that doesn't happen, did we finish it? Can I move on?
Yes.
Right? It gives us that question mark.
So it's important for us to recognize those holidays, those events that are occurring.
Absolutely.
That's why we have engagement parties, birthday parties, marriage parties, grandchildren parties.
Yeah, everything, even gender reveal now. It's like it goes on, because it's celebrating allows us to know that something is changing, something is happening, right? So when you think of a completion of something, there's always a party at the end. There's always a congratulations. So with life, we need that. And COVID kind of stripped that from a lot of people and allowed time to continue. So now I'm noticing that a lot of people, I'm like, go and take some high school pictures. Why don't you go do that? Well, who cares? It doesn't matter, right? Why are we allowing this event that was outside of our control shape us so much?
We had some college professors here during that pandemic time, and they said, one day you're going to walk across stage. So it happens that those college students didn't.
Yes.
So they missed that. The high schools will most of them will get another opportunity. And when I was listening to the professors talk, it was an important event for the professors, obviously, and more for the students.
Yes.
That they wanted the recognition. They wanted to walk across stage and throw their hats, whatever we do.
Nothing was happier than for me to be standing next to my dissertation chair at my graduation, and her being able to hood me and pin me and give me that moment, of like, congratulations, like you did it, because yes, going to school is one thing, but finishing your dissertation is a totally different thing. So going through that process and completing it and having her tell me congratulations and be standing next to me on stage, it felt like I could pinch myself. Even thinking about it now gives me goosebumps, because it's a thought of like, oh my God, I did it. Like, I'm your colleague. You're not my professor anymore. Like, just that change, it brings so much excitement to someone, just to show you that, you did it.
We were talking about roles changing. So there you are, all of a sudden.
Exactly.
That's
even
great.
With this. So Michael, you were an awesome guest. I truly appreciate our conversation. It's very easy to communicate. If there's one thing that you would want to leave everyone with when they think of mental health, what would that be?
I now follow the Disney rule.
Okay.
The Disney rule is when you hug someone, don't stop until they do.
Perfect. Yeah. You never know when someone needs a hug.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Of course.
Wonderful.
Thank you.